Hey, folks, welcome to InTheMoneyStocks.com's intraday analysis video, brought to you by the creators of proprietary price, pattern, and time methodology. Learn the PPT strategies and profit for life. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here at InTheMoneyStocks.com. All right, folks, today's date, Monday, June 23rd, 2014. Right now, the markets are basically lower across the board, but it's barely lower. And again, you can see how quiet of a day it is, much like we saw on Friday. Volume today is even lighter. Options expiration was on Friday, so it made a little bit more volume there, even though there wasn't a lot of price movement. But again, today you can see the markets are just chopping sideways in a very slow-paced move. And again, right now we are seeing the markets, folks, just down slightly. S&P 500 down 2 points, Dow down 24, NASDAQ down just half a point on the day. Now, here you can see the volume, 41.8 million, and it's already after 3 p.m., so there's less than an hour to go. My guess is we'll only do 55 million, which will basically be online as the lightest trading day of 2014. It'll probably continue like this until we get past July 4th. So you're going to have a couple days here and there where you have a little bit more volume, but for the most part, unless something geopolitically happens, where, again, could it be Russia, China, Ukraine, some of these other countries in Iraq, who knows. But unless something like that does happen, then I don't think that there's going to be too much price action in terms of volume. Most likely you'll go sideways to maybe slightly higher into July 4th. And then after July 4th, we expect a little bit more volatility to come in. Okay, so that's what we have going on right now in the markets. And again, I want to scan to a couple different charts out there, a couple interesting charts. One chart I think is interesting is the Chevron chart. Chevron could be putting in a top on the daily chart. And again, one thing that catches my eye here is a potential topping tail. So you have some supports down here, but look at this extension move you've seen lately. And again, depending on where we close today, you might have a topping tail on CVX. All right, also we can take a look at ExxonMobil. Exxon also, if it sold off a little bit more into the end of the day, would get a topping tail as well. ConocoPhillips, let's take a look. ConocoPhillips, same thing, a very, very extended chart, but it would need to pull back, again, just a little bit into the close. So a lot of these oil plays are showing the possibility of a top, but aren't at a top yet. You don't know yet because the market hasn't closed today, therefore you do not have in the books a topping tail on a lot of these charts. Okay, a couple other charts out there that should be watched. Number one, Apple continues to look very, very weak here, guys. Notice how Apple, again, trading down just a little bit here. And that's in, again, a small down market, so it's no big deal. But I think the bigger thing is how Apple topped out a couple weeks ago. Even with the market moving up pretty dramatically in the short term, you're not seeing Apple itself really kind of rally with the market. And again, if you look back at last week, for instance, last Wednesday, right, the markets had this massive move up on the Federal Reserve comments on Wednesday, and Apple basically didn't do much. And since then, it's even gotten weaker and started to float below the moving averages. So I think this is actually going to head lower in the short term. I do think it's going to head a little bit lower. All right, so that's what we have going on there. Facebook today, Facebook trading up 82 cents. Chart is kind of just chopping sideways here. Does have a small bullish consolidation pattern here with the 20 just below current price in this support area here. So you'd favor the upside by just a little bit. But aside from that, there's not much else there. Qualcomm down 34 cents. Qualcomm remains very, very weak. Notice how Qualcomm hasn't made a new high since basically last April, in April. So, I mean, that's multiple months now that you've been trading in a tight range, and I actually think it's getting ready to dump out just a little bit, and we'll continue to follow that very, very closely. Okay? Take a look at a couple other stocks out there. Amazon today, up about $2.60, had a sharp sell last Thursday and Friday, getting a small bounce off the daily 20 moving average. If we take a look at gold, remember gold had that huge move last week. It's basically just pausing. Second day in a row, it's pausing after Thursday's massive move to the upside. The resistance points on gold are up here. So again, you'll be watching, and if you get a move up into this area, that's resistance, still a fair amount away at this point in time. Okay, let me just scan through here and see what else we have. IBM. All right, IBM today basically flat on the day, not much going on there. If we take a look at Baidu, which is the Chinese player, up about $3.50. That's actually a nice move for that stock. 2% move to the upside, so very, very nice move short term on BIDU. Today, Micron will report earnings after the bell. And again, you can see Micron actually having a little bit of a down day. It's interesting. Micron was up, it gapped up early, and is now selling and coming in very, very nicely. So, going to be interesting to see. I think personally the stock is ridiculously overbought, but who really knows where it ends up going? I have some trend lines here that we were measuring out, max moves and so forth on it, and it kind of told us that the top was right here in the short term, and we've been actually short Micron in the money now, about 75 cents or so. But again, we'll see on earnings what happens here. I'm not sure if I'm going to hold it into earnings or take profits and kind of run, but I am kind of just monitoring the situation for now. Okay, so that's what we have going on there. If we take a look at the USO, which again, because of the Iraqi situation, many people would expect oil to be moving up. It is not moving up today. We are seeing oil falling just a little bit, which is probably one of the reasons why some of those oil plays are becoming a little on the weaker side here. All right. Volatility continues to be very negligible. We're seeing very minimal. The VIX trading underneath 11 at this point in time. In fact, the VIX is down decently today, and that continues to just show us that there's complacency in the market. There really isn't any fear out there. Again, even in my case, I mean, I'm not exactly. I mean, I don't think the markets long term are going to hold up. But before July 4th, I'm pretty skeptical that they can bring the markets down with any significance, because again, the Fed has this backstop on the markets, and it does seem like it's kind of keeping the markets in check, at least until we get some sort of shock out there. All right. On that note, folks, I'm going to bid you farewell. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Micron earnings. Watch the possible topping tails on some of these charts on these oil players. It could tell us of a coming move that we could play and make some money on. And I will talk to you guys all later. Take care. Come join us here at InTheMoneyStocks.com.